Some towns vanish from maps, others vanish from memory, but Evermere vanishes from time itself. Nestled between misty mountains and a frozen lake that never thaws, the town of Evermere looked ordinary, a sleepy place where nothing ever changed, until one night everything did. It started with the clock tower. On March 3rd, precisely at midnight, it stopped ticking. The townspeople woke up to a strange stillness. Birds stopped singing. The wind forgot to blow. And in the silence, someone appeared. The boy who first saw her was Jisoo, a 21-year-old university dropout who now worked as a night librarian, quiet, sharp-eyed, and always lost in old books, especially the forbidden ones hidden in the back archives. He was used to odd nights, but not this odd, because tonight, in the middle of the silent street, a girl stood barefoot in the snow, her hair tangled, her white dress soaked. She wasn't shivering. She wasn't even blinking, just staring at the tower, like she knew it, like she'd been here before. Jisoo stood still, watching her from the steps of the old library. The girl turned slowly, as if she could sense him without looking. And then she whispered, "Do you remember me now?" He blinked. "I should?" She smiled, but her eyes were breaking. Her name, she claimed, was Ara, but no one in town had ever heard of her. Not the police, not the school, not even the hospital. Despite the fact she had a burn scar that looked suspiciously fresh. Worse, there were no records of her. Not in the databases, not in the CCV, nothing. Still, something about her felt right to Jisoo. She said she came from a version of this town that no longer exists. She said she was looking for someone. When Jisoo asked who, she stared into his eyes with a mix of sorrow and hope. You. That night, as Jisoo tried to piece together the impossible, the town trembled. A power outage blacked out half the streets. Phones stopped working. And deep in the old archives of the library, a forbidden book fell from the highest shelf on its own. A book titled Chrono Wounds and Echoes of Time. It was locked, sealed, and cursed, and somehow, Ara had the key around her neck. In Evermere, the past isn't gone, it's just hiding. As the snow began to fall again, Jisoo realized something terrifying. Ara didn't just arrive, she was sent, and someone, or something, was coming to take her back. Some people hide secrets in diaries, some in basements, but the people of Evermere, they bury them in time. The next morning, Jisoo didn't open the library. He sat at his desk, staring at the strange girl now sleeping on the old reading couch. Ara, curled up like a ghost in a dream. Her hair was still wet. Her white dress was now wrapped in one of his hoodies. He had questions, 100 of them, but the strangest thing was this. Even though she'd only just arrived, he felt like he'd known her before. The town, meanwhile, pretended nothing had happened. The clock tower remained broken. The police claimed there was no power outage the night before. And when Jisoo went to the bakery to ask the owner if she'd seen Ara, the woman frowned. "Who's Ara?" He pointed to the girl beside him. The woman blinked, smiled politely. "There's no one with you, dear." Back in the library, Ara was growing more afraid. "It's happening again," she whispered. "They're erasing me." Jisoo froze. "What do you mean?" She held up her arm. Her skin was marked with faint lines of light, like threads unraveling, as if parts of her were fading. "They always do this when I get too close. They try to reset the timeline." Jisoo looked at her, pale-faced. "Who does?" She hesitated. "The ministry." That night, after she fell asleep again, Jisoo dug into the forbidden section of the library, a room hidden behind a bookcase, sealed for decades after an explosion that had killed the former curator. He wasn't supposed to have the key, but he'd stolen it years ago. Inside, the air was stale. Dust curled in the light like memories waiting to be disturbed. He found the book that had fallen the night before, Chrono Wounds and Echoes of Time, bound in black leather, written in a language older than anything he knew, except for the notes scribbled in the margins, some in Korean, others in Latin. One stood out, circled in red ink. There are people who remember what the world forgets. They are called timekeepers. When a wound opens in time, they are the only ones who feel it. Beneath it, Ara H., a name in handwriting that looked familiar, but that wasn't possible, because in the library's personnel archive, buried in a locked drawer, he found a file, a staff ID card, faded, old, but real. Ara Hanul, position, timekeeper librarian, status, deceased, 7 years ago. Jisoo staggered back. 7 years ago. That was the same year his sister disappeared. The same year the library fire destroyed half the archives. The same year his memories start to blur. He looked at Ara's ID photo. She was smiling. Not the way she smiled now, scared and broken, but confident, hopeful, warm. Something was deeply wrong. You died 7 years ago. He whispered it aloud, as if saying it would make it real, but when he turned to tell her, she was gone. The couch was empty, the hoodie lay folded, but the door was still locked from the inside. Ara? Then he saw it, a trail of glowing footprints across the wooden floor, fading fast, leading to the back of the forbidden room. He followed, heart racing. The prints stopped at the back wall and vanished. And then, with a quiet, slow click, a section of the wall slid open. Inside, there was a room he'd never seen, circular, dark, lined with books that glowed like stars. At the center was a pedestal, and a cracked glass sphere humming softly. Ara stood there, her back to him. I didn't want you to find this yet. Jisoo stepped forward. What is this place? She turned, and for a moment, her face flickered. Not just her expression, her entire face, changing shapes like static on a screen. This is where they erase people like me. This is where they keep time bleeding, so no one remembers what they lost. And this is where you died. Jisoo froze. I'm not dead. Ara looked at him sadly. You were, in one timeline. I saved you. That's why they're after me. The cracked glass sphere glowed brighter. A voice echoed from nowhere. Chrono anomaly detected. Reset in T-minus 60 minutes. Ara grabbed his arm. We don't have long. I need your help to fix the wound, or Evermere will vanish for good. And so will we. Time doesn't flow. It folds. And when it folds wrong, it breaks. The glowing room beneath the library pulsed like a heartbeat, ancient and alive. Jisoo stared at Ara, her fingers trembling on the pedestal as the countdown echoed in the air. Reset in T-minus 54 minutes. What does that mean? He asked, heart pounding. Ara's voice was calm, too calm. It means everything in this version of Evermere will be deleted, again, unless we find the echo door before the reset finishes. And this time, they'll take you with it. Jisoo didn't believe in fate, but now, with a girl from a different timeline, a cursed library, and his own death certificate buried in forgotten files, he wasn't sure what he believed anymore. What's an echo door? He asked. Ara pointed at the cracked glass orb. Time leaves echoes when it breaks, portals, rips, doorways, but only people with memory scars, timekeepers, can see them. You were one of us once. Jisoo touched the back of his neck instinctively. A faint mark, like an old burn, tingled under his skin. She led him deeper into the chamber. Books floated in midair, pages flipping on their own. Maps of towns that never existed. Faces sketched in charcoal, all missing their eyes. and at the center of it all, a large circular mirror with no reflection. Ara stepped closer. This is the first gate. It leads to the year 2028, the day the library burned. Jisoo froze. The day you died? Ara nodded. The ministry erased me from every timeline but one. This one. I left something behind, a fail-safe hidden in the fire. Reset in T-minus 47 minutes. Back in the town above, strange things were happening. Streetlights flickered. People walked in loops. The same song played on every radio station. A song from the 1980s no one remembered releasing. And worst of all, people were disappearing. A school teacher who had just waved to her students. A florist in mid-conversation. Gone, with only the sound of static left behind. Evermere was collapsing again. Inside the mirror room, Ara pressed her palm against the silver surface. Ripples spread like water. I'll go through first, she said. You follow 5 seconds after, no matter what you see. Jisoo reached for her wrist. What if we fail? She smiled sadly. Then this version of me dies too. And she stepped through. It felt like falling through a memory. When Jisoo stepped into the mirror, the world warped. He tumbled through color and darkness and voices whispering in reverse. Then, heat, flames, screams. He was back in the burning library, 7 years ago. Books fell like ashes. Sirens howled outside. He could see a younger version of himself, coughing, trapped under a fallen shelf. But Ara, not the one beside him, but the original version, was there too, alive, brave, bleeding. She pushed the younger Jisoo out of the fire, shielding him with her body. Live. The memory froze, then shattered like glass. Jisoo gasped, falling to his knees in the mirrored room. He was back. Ara stood above him, holding something, a metal device shaped like an hourglass glowing faintly blue. This is the fail-safe, the chrono stabilizer. She handed it to him. It'll seal the timeline, but it only works once. Reset in T-minus 29 minutes. Suddenly, the walls shook. The door behind them slammed shut. A voice, not Ara's, whispered through the room. Unauthorized anomaly detected, eliminating parasite. From the shadows, a figure stepped out, tall, draped in black robes, with no face, only a mirror where its face should be. Ara backed away. Run! But Jisoo stood his ground. Who are you? The creature's voice was many, like echoes of 100 forgotten people. We are memory cleaners. We restore balance. You are a fracture. The ground split open beneath them. Ara screamed as the mirror being lunged. Jisoo activated the hourglass. A surge of white light filled the chamber. Time bent. Reality cracked. And then they were back in the library. Except now, the town was different. Outside the window, people walked normally. Birds flew. The radio played a song from this year. The clock tower ticked again. Evermere was restored. Ara slumped to the floor, exhausted. We did it, she whispered. You sealed it. Jisoo knelt beside her. What happens now? She smiled softly, eyes welling. Now, I disappear. I was only ever a remnant. His throat tightened. No. You'll live, Jisoo. You'll remember. You'll rebuild this town. He held her hand. Don't go. But she was already fading. I wasn't supposed to exist, but thank you for remembering me. And with a final tear down her cheek, she vanished, like a whisper in the wind. There are rules in time, unwritten, ancient, and unbreakable, until someone does. It had been a year since the Evermere reset. The town was alive again. The people no longer vanished. The clock tower ticked each second like a quiet victory. But for Jisoo, peace had never felt more fragile. Because Ara, the girl he thought he'd lost forever, was back. Not as a ghost, not as a memory, but real, warm, breathing, laughing. You really don't remember saving me? Jisoo asked. They were sitting on the library steps, sharing coffee. Ara wore a yellow cardigan that didn't quite fit and looked at him with the same gentle confusion she'd had a year ago. I remember fragments, dreams, but it's like my mind was rebuilt. Sometimes I wake up with a name in my mouth I don't recognize. Sometimes that name is yours. She looked up at him, the late sunlight painting her eyes gold. Do you think people can fall in love again, even if their memories are gone? Jisoo didn't answer. He didn't need to. But something wasn't right. Behind her smile, he saw flickers. Her shadow would sometimes face the wrong way. Her reflection blinked out of sync. And some nights, he'd catch her standing completely still, eyes open, whispering numbers under her breath. 35709. Access code accepted. One night, he followed her. She didn't know he was there. Ara moved through the town like someone retracing old footsteps, past the bookstore, the lake, the train tracks, all the places she'd once visited, but didn't remember, until she stopped outside the old train station, abandoned since the reset. A metal panel slid open in the stone wall. Jisoo watched, stunned, as she stepped through it and vanished. Inside, it was not a train station anymore. It was a timekeeper vault. Machines hummed softly beneath the earth. Screens floated midair. A massive map of timelines stretched across the room, rivers of light branching and folding endlessly. Ara stood at the center, speaking to someone. A man in a gray coat, his face blurred, pixelated. Jisoo hid behind a column and listened. Man, you were not meant to re-enter this timeline. Ara, I followed the signature. He's the last unstable anchor. Man, then eliminate him. Or risk everything. Ara, I can't. The man's tone hardened. Ara Hanul, your designation is compromised. Emotion is a threat to the code. You are hereby classified as a rogue timekeeper. Jisoo's heart stopped. Eliminate him? She was talking about him. Ara stepped back from the hologram. Her hands shook. I didn't choose to remember him, but I do. And I won't let you touch him. The hologram glitched, then went black. A moment later, Jisoo stepped out of hiding. So, you're not just someone who crossed timelines. Ara turned slowly. Her eyes shimmered, half light, half sorrow. I didn't want you to know. You were sent to kill me? I was sent to observe, to ensure the seal held. But if your presence causes fluctuations, my orders will change. And what do you want to do? Jisoo asked. She didn't speak. Instead, she walked to a console and typed something. The room shifted. One of the timeline maps zoomed in, showing Jisoo's name linked to thousands of branching paths. And in almost all of them, he died. You're a constant, a fixed point that keeps breaking. The ministry thinks you're a threat, but I think you're the answer. The room trembled. Warning lights flashed. Anomaly breach detected. Purge agents deployed. Ara grabbed his hand. They're coming. Jisoo looked at her. So what now? She pulled him toward a glowing vault at the center of the chamber. We rewrite the rules. The vault opened. Inside was a device neither had seen before. A timekeeper weapon. Not one of war, but of memory. The Mnemosiny drive, a prototype capable of locking a moment permanently into all timelines. If we use this, Ara said, breath-catching, they can't erase us again. Jisoo looked at her. Then let's do it, together. But as they reached for the device, the walls cracked. A figure dropped from above. Not a hologram this time. A purge agent, masked, silent, radiating cold. Ara stepped in front of Jisoo. The agent raised a shimmering blade. But before he could strike, Jisoo grabbed the Mimazan drive and triggered it. The world exploded in light, memories collided, reality screamed, and then they were standing in a quiet park. No library, no vault, no agents, just the sound of wind and leaves. Ara blinked. What did you do? Jisoo looked at her with a slow, stunned smile. I picked a moment, and I locked it forever. He held up a photo of the two of them, laughing on the library steps,